This is part of an extended series where Simon and I are doing it live. No, that's. No. Well, this is part of an extended series where Simon and I are building live and we're cutting practically nothing. So you get to see how we think, how we respond to things that throw us off track, and you get to also see things like how we're working in a shared workspace in Tana, which is something that a lot of people struggle with. It's going to have at least 4 parts, maybe more. But what we're doing is integrating our 2 templates together on a super fundamental level. Like, we're going way deeper than we recommend anyone doing. That's how things are getting started. But that shows you how we are working at these super deep levels of building inside Tana. And then it's just going to go even more crazy and interesting from there, because we're going to be using our own templates to build in a shared workspace. And you will see all of that happening. And we will be peppering in conversation about what we're doing and how we were thinking about different things. We are experimenting, we are building live in public, and we are demonstrating how to use both of our templates and how to work together as small teams inside shared workspaces. Simon's platform is for doing project management in just a really impressive way, and also bringing order to the chaos of your workspace inside Tana. Check out Simon's focus streams. Also, check out my Giga platform. It brings all of the powers and benefits of ChatGPT, working with Claude in those chat interfaces, but you have all the context of you, what matters to you, and your work, your projects, whatever you want to feed it. And you also get to tell the AI exactly what to do with all of the information, even beyond just telling it about yourself and all sorts of important information. And we're going to show how this works together, but combining our products together is super powerful. Okay, so check out our 2 products. Also, I have a course coming up. Well, one is Mindshift Mechanics. That comes first in just a couple weeks. But directly related to this content is Tana for Advanced Builders. If you want to be able to build products inside Tana like what we've done, if you want to either for yourself or to support a team, or you want to sell products in Tana, take that course. I will teach you, and it goes beyond the technical. Of course, you need to know all of the technical details of how to implement things, but you also need to know why you would build something. Does anyone want what I'm building? Am I fulfilling a gap in the market? How do I talk about my product? How do I sell it? How do I distribute it? How do I package this? How do you do all of that together? That's what Tana for Advanced Builders teaches you. It teaches you all of the technical stuff that you need to know, and it's very advanced, but it goes beyond the technical, which is the stuff that's really going to set you apart. All right. Having said all that, enjoy the content.
So we set up the workspace and we've got a shared workspace now between the 2 of us. And I think we're going to work on how to integrate Giga and Focus completely together so they are a unified experience throughout, even more so
Are
than they
these
are already.
already? This is the same one that you did the demo before, right?
This is the one we did the demo on Saturday, on Wednesday when we did the live event.
Mm-hmm.
So we have everything already linked, but now we want to see if we can link it even further and then expand on it going further forward and show some of the stuff that you and I have been doing separately, which was how this can really supercharge the GigaBrain and have everything work together very nicely. But we wanted to really experiment as well and just see what happens when we have a shared workspace in Tana and how this affects things going further forward as well. So this is like a
Yeah.
live project slash workspace that we're going to share throughout this
Yeah,
exchange.
It's literally building in public.
Literally building in public. It's
Hmm.
we're going to lift the veil off a little bit and show how we go through it all.
When you say lift the veil, don't do the motion down
The
here. That's not a veil. That's
we're going to lift the veil and we'll show how we've been building these two products separately and then how we're going to combine them even further forward.
And then importantly, we're going to be demonstrating another thing that people have been having a lot of issues with or questions in Tana of like, how do we work in shared workspaces? How do I do things in primary versus peripheral workspaces? What are the things that I need to be worried about so that if I'm sharing information, how do I know it's secure? And how do I work across these different spaces when I'm working simultaneously on my own, but also with a team?
Yeah. And then what happens if companies take on this approach as well and how that affects with different aspects of the business. So it's going to be a little bit of we'll see where we get to with this, and it
Hmm.
is very much so a bit of an experiment because I've not worked in a shared workspace in Tana before, not to the extent that maybe the Tana team obviously has, but we do know that there are some people who are using this, you know, in that fashion with the Focus Brain and Giga Brain combined. So we thought we'd give it a go.
Yeah. So then what's our first step today? What are we doing to start off?
So the first thing I wanted to have a look at was just, I guess we'll go through and just tidy up a few things. Like, what can we actually really distill down a little bit further in terms of consolidating them together, but a little bit deeper than just the surface level of what we did on Wednesday? Because what we did on Wednesday was literally this is hard to get them all to play ball. But if you really want to integrate them and have them do some very clever, powerful things, then you don't have to, but you can take a little bit of a step further forward. And I think that's what we're going to try and showcase now. Because the way that I have GigaBrain working in my personal system, excuse me, it's very different to Nick, but in a good way. Like, this is a collaboration of ideas now. So we're going to try and fuse it all and see what happens. So I guess getting started, I'm going to open up Keycaster so we can see what's going on. Okay. What we started doing was we had the schema and everything all completely set up. So what happens if we just completely integrate the infrastructures now? Fields, commands, everything. So let's start, I guess, with that. If I open up this on a new window, I've got GigaBrain coming through. Go to both of the infrastructures and okay. Building blocks is going to be the first check. So we've got all of our terminal tags. This is everything that we're using to, yep, okay. And the taxonomic tags. So taxonomic is like my core system, isn't it? To be correct.
Yep, taxonomy. So basically providing categorization and names. So really just that fundamental structure that everything else can build off of.
So let's just, for now, we'll say GigaBrain taxonomic tags, and we'll place those guys with the core system in here, just because of my just to kind of unify the language a little bit. So that's in short, the GigaBrain core system. These are all of the these are all of your grouping system, your grouping mechanics, aren't they? The taxonomic tags. These are the
Yes.
yeah, these are all the grouping mechanisms. So these are the same as other functions in my system, but they operate a little bit differently. So core grouping mechanic.
Yeah, those are the tags that I use in any searches. And they're also If you're doing updates or you're trying to merge things, that is the level to be applying those kind of tag merges. So then all of the consequences flow down to all of the other things, all the way to the terminal tags, which in both of our systems, colored tags means you as the end user are you're meant to use those and work with those day to day. Gray or colorless tags means these are system tags. These are things that are providing functionalities and extending capabilities. Unless you're an advanced user, there's no reason for you to ever be, directly working with those things.
So same applies with tag extensions again. These are going to go into the core system, but these are a slightly different operation to the grouping mechanics from my understanding. These are offering functions. So some of these actually, like regular bucket and simple bucket, even though they are, again, a grouping mechanism, but these are offering different functions to different elements, aren't they?
Yeah, taxonomic tags are there purely for categorization and searches. The tag extensions, those actually provide attributes, functionalities, capabilities to terminal tags.
So in that instance, we're going to probably place these guys in functions because that would probably be an accurate translation to where they would sit. And then the last one is terminal tags. Okay. And these are technically, well, okay. These guys are technically functions, but also not. So I think what we're going to do for now is all the terminal tags will place into, this is not really the starter pack anymore. This is terminal tags because these are all the tags that we are using on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So if we're crossing systems, that starter pack now becomes our terminal tags. Okay. So in that instance, we can probably place guidance in here. And we'll just do a dash, dash, dash. Clusters. And meta. Although I don't really remember seeing where the changelog is throughout your system, but that can be
It's
shush.
meta. That's why.
Yeah.
It's purely for me tagging something as a change log for the versioning. So actually, like the end user has no use for that.
So this upgraded tags thing, I don't need that anymore,
Nope.
but I'm gonna just do something a little bit instead. Place him there, place him there, because the reason why I'm doing this is because he has a move target associated to him. So just in case to not stop anything, I'm going to merge these two into tags, and I'm just going to then clear that so that the move target's associated with this instead. And because I like the way you've set this up here with tags, I'm just going to drag that across instead. All of these guys, I'm going to move into there. We'll delete that guy and we'll delete terminal tags. Just because that's a bit nicer in terms of,
Real quick, I
yeah,
think should we clarify like what we're going through? I think like okay, so like the level that we already integrated things and we demonstrated, I think that a lot of people won't even necessarily, it's not necessary, and a lot of people won't even want to do that because they're just interested in just things working. And then what we're doing now is even further beyond that. It's
yeah.
like the 1% of users who would actually want to actually do this stuff. What we're really doing is showing really how everything connects. And for the 1%, if you want to, yeah, totally do this. But for everyone else, you're just learning a bit about how these things function and how we put these things together and how systems can interlock when even though they weren't built to be part of the same template like this, you can totally do that. And this actually speaks to one of the great powers of Tana, and also the philosophically like how both of us were approaching these. And I keep bringing up like functional versus structural templates. Yours is more structural and mine is more functional, and it was designed that way so that people can latch on to the structure of yours, and you have the views and everything attached. It's much more, there's much more substance to it. And mine is meant to really just wrap onto other experiences. And that was on purpose. And that's also how you can have eventually with properly designed templates, they can interact not just with Tana, but with each other, like almost natively. That is one of the things that really excites me about the potential of what's possible in the Tana ecosystem.
Yeah, and we've even just kind of gone through just how these two merge together. It gets a lot more interesting when you turn around and start grabbing templates that you are building or templates from other people that require different functions. For example, like a shout out to RJ with the recurring tasks template. You can very easily integrate that into this system in a few different ways, and maybe that's something we'll do at another point. With and see how things like that work. Because I have a routine, like a recurring task system that we can try and integrate into this at a later date. But you've also got Tasker that does this as well. So we can also try and integrate that maybe at some point and see how that all plays ball. What happens if we
Yeah,
integrate an entirely different task management system into the focus streams? Because my status system is not, you know, it it's a good status system, but there is a lot more that you could do with status in Tana, and Tasker is just touching a little bit further on that, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll play around with all of this at some point in the near future.
yeah. And
I
and
should,
I
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I should say Flex now, not Tasker.
Hmm. Well, yeah, well, Flex has Tasker and like a very light version of GigaBrain inside it. So yeah, it's fair to make that distinction between them. But
Nice.
yeah, I designed GigaBrain so purposefully to be able to fit with other templates like yours, especially in particular, but like anyone's. That also means that I made it as extensible as possible, which means that if anyone else can build another template that can play with and fit with GigaBrain also. And I tried to maximize that potential as well.
And this is something that, I mean, in my opinion, this is something that was the core of what we were discussing originally when we were first starting building all this stuff. It was like, how do we expand it? How do we upgrade it? How do we like add extra modules to this? And this is where the infrastructure at the real top level came from my account, which was I need to work out how to allow this tree structure that can then just stem down to everything else. So this is where a lot of that thought process came from. And in consequence, Nick's system literally just clips up into it, and the infrastructure for it works alongside it, but the output rejoins the rest of the group. And this is where it gets quite strong and powerful. You don't need to completely integrate them. They can still work side by side. But we're just seeing what happens if we take it that little bit of a step further forward. In this instance, going back to here, we've got the fields, and I think all I'm just going to do is just drag all of these directly straight into here, and we can go through as we decipher what is needed and what's not. All of this is obviously needed, but this storage destination feature might not be needed now if we're integrating the vaults into this. So we'll go through that, I guess, at some point. Okay, let's continue. So commands, I'm just going to do the same thing, grab all of these guys and just combine them into, I think what we'll do is do GigaBrain, just so that we can have that little bit more of a clean marketing system?
Ooh, uh, I'm trying to develop my salesman muscle. And so I just realized there's an opportunity for me to hawk one of my courses that's coming up.
You
It's
do that.
called Tana for Advanced Builders. And if you want to learn how to build templates just like this, that are sophisticated, complex, powerful, and actually usable and like solving real user problems and turning into a packaged solution that's productized and has a high usability availability for people. Take my course. Um, yeah, uh, I'll send it back to you now, Simon.
All
Well, I'll
good.
put a link. We'll put a link in the description.
Absolutely. So, yeah, well, going back on what you were just saying in terms of like powerful presentation, powerful templates, these functional queries, dude, like, yeah, I had a lot of fun building some of these. So we'll go into those later because these are special. But for now, we're going to continue on this. So we've combined all the fields, combined all the commands. We had this other one here, which is combining agents, portals, and holders. We'll go into all that later. For now, I'm just going to place it here in the infrastructure or just at the bottom. And I think what I'm going to do, because again, I like this icon, and we're going to end up deleting this. I'm going to take that. We'll do other, remove all view options. I'm speeding through, but it's okay. We'll be fine. I'm just going to do that because I want to keep that icon there for the time being. And we can get rid of the other one just so we can keep things a bit cleaner. We can go through and do my OCD stuff at another time. And versioning, this was not necessary, is it, for the time being?
Nope, we
Nope,
can just remove that.
that's gone. Old chats. Okay, this is important. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this a vault. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh my God. Come on, keyboard. There we go. Come on. Okay, we're back. Well, this is the problem of having a Great British keyboard, an American keyboard, and a Hebrew keyboard. So I'm going to make these old chats into a vault, which will move it into the vault library. So dum 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 dum. By the way, I think Tana's done some updates because all of these colors and this sort of thing is all is a lot cleaner now. They've done some UI updates and I like it. So this is now
And
living.
also, I want to take a quick break and say that like each of our templates, like even template is like I need to start calling them products because like they're even platforms, I would argue. Platforms for thought and action. So each of our platforms has like probably a dozen like really big innovations, I would say. And one of them in yours is this vault system. And it's a method for having structured organization of everything that you save if you want. You can go as OCD as you want. And like one of the things, and this is also a demonstration of how each of our templates, our products, were operating at different levels for different types of things. Mine being a functional template, I was like, okay, I'm going to provide some minimal saving options for people because there's going to be more structural stuff that people are using other templates or their own systems for. And yours being a more structural one, you're like, okay, no, I'm going to take that on. I'm going to give people a comprehensive saving mechanism so that they can know for guaranteed certainty where any particular thing is, and they can have whatever granular level of detail they want for saving those things.
Yeah. So that was like part of the core offering that I wanted to make sure that kind of came through was that it, this system is not a my way or the highway scenario by any means. It's more of a way to turn around and say, here's a way for you to organize your own content in whichever way you choose to, because it's not based on like a power system or um getting things done or these other methods. They have like distinct areas to place things based on what it is, and it's not what it is, it's how it's behaving throughout your entire context. Um, all these different things have different homes in your house. Like that's kind of where it was coming from a little bit. They all have different homes, they all do different things, they all operate in different ways. You don't store tomatoes in the cupboard with your socks. Like it just depends on what you're doing with things. I guess that's not.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, I don't know what you do in your house, but
My tomato sock drawer.
or the cabbage underpants and anyway. So yeah, all these different things were like not necessarily that everything needs a home, more to the point that everything needs a different direction and behavior, the same way the different AI agents within the system start off with a different prompt. All these different things have different functions that begin in different stages in a particular way for a reason, because it will then, it'll go through that process. We'll get into more details on that. For now, I just want to point out that back on here, we've got the cluster cabinet and guidance garage already preset from what we did previously on the weekend. Keep saying the weekend on Wednesday, because I had one on Saturday where I did this all as well, and then the Wednesday as well. So the cluster cabinet and guidance garage are all preset here. We don't necessarily need to have closets, but I'll pull it over here for the time being. But I almost feel closets and Vault Library are almost the same at this point.
Well, since you vaulted all of the closets, yeah. In my system, the closets, they're only there for like processing stuff and then moving it somewhere else. But in order to like streamline the integration, those closets were already there, so you turned those into vaults. And so that's yeah, that's where we're at now. They're effectively the same at this point.
Yeah, like it made sense to me when I first got them that these could either be destinations or process points. Like there is a function within these, for example, where these are functional elements, and they've got the little gear item there intentionally to represent that. So, like technically within this system, you would do gear all chats, you would do gear. Oh, let's just copy and paste. You would do that as well, that as well. The rest of these, technically speaking, are preset the way that you want to do them. I mean, the demo content, for argument's sake, right now, I'm just going to delete the whole thing. Yeah? We'll start fresh with the demo content.
Sure.
Why not?
Something that I want to kind of make a note of since I'm thinking of it is so closets inside my template or my product, there's also rooms. I call things portals. Now, I could have called them other things that are more like literal or direct. Like portals, they're so far, they're always related content. But it's not, I use these different names for a couple different reasons. One was to kind of paint a picture of what's happening also, like portals give you a view into another world or another space while you're in another context. But also, for each of these, I used these names that aren't literal because I want to maximize my flexibility as a builder, just in case things change significantly in the future, either because of Tana or some other external capabilities or whatever. By calling things portals, for instance, I'm not locked into those things always being related content. They could be some other feature or mechanism inside Tana that gives me flexibility to have the same system and even the same terminology, but still being able to adapt relatively easily instead of if I called them what they literally are.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, so I can close that down because they're all in here, so we can get rid of that. And then we've actually combined all of that together. The rooms would be the next thing. Technically speaking, the brain schema would be part of this schema. These guys are different though, because these are rooms, but I think they would be part of this system. This feels like the right place for this because of the way that it's. I think this is correct, the way that that's happening. I am just going to do this though and view these as tabs so they fall into the same format as everything else. Because then we've got, yeah,
Tomato, tomato.
tomato, tomato. I'm just combining together effectively. So, and then settings, I'm going to place up here. For the record, you can find in both templates more cool stuff, but for now, bye bye. I'm going to get rid of get started and let's go. I think we're competent enough to go through this. And expand your world is the version in Giga Brain where you can find all that content as well. Okay. So for now, that's also gone. And Giga Brain can actually now.
Now everything is in Focus Pro.
Yeah, but I almost want to,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because I want that icon, not the brain.
And if you are that 1% who would want to like manually combine things and structure and integrate things to this degree, then you probably would migrate GigaBrain stuff into Focus Pro, that template in that way, because it's a structural template, because that is kind of the home base, and because of how both of these templates were made, where mine is meant to be flexible and adaptable to other people's systems. That's also why when Simon did the walkthrough of the integration, ironically, there was more things that he was changing inside his system than my system, because beyond the ways that my template is meant to by default work and function and integrate with other people's experiences, if you want to go a step beyond that, you're going to probably need to change things in your home base templates, your structural templates, rather than the functional templates, which are designed to be flexible already.
So just to kind of fill everyone in whilst Nick's been talking, I've been going through the system. Oh, let me go back. I've been going through the system and I've just been tidying things up. But as I've gone through, I've noticed that these little icons are here for the deleted bit. So I've gone in, I've checked the source tags, I've clicked here, which has brought me to this. I don't need anything that's here, just these guys. So I've clearly deleted something I shouldn't have. So I'm going to go back to infrastructure, super tags, and these are things that need to come into here. So source tags, we're going to drag and place there. Okay. Mm, these are actually, I stand corrected because they are part of the research stream, so they can go in there. And I know that because from when we set these things up over the weekend, we established that, okay, all of these we need to grab as well because I obviously deleted something that I shouldn't have deleted. So let's go to the folder that I deleted that I shouldn't have. We've got highlights, and they can come into, where did I place them into on the weekend? Weekend again. I'm so sorry, guys. Other day. It's like when you say something once and you establish it in your head, it's just never going to go away again. So if I go back together, all of these guys are in materials, so they can go here. And we've got bucket tags.
Just in case if anyone is a little confused by all the things that are happening, in the middle, that panel is where the things are actually set. Like you click and drag, especially if you're not familiar with our templates yet. This is how you set things up. It's a very visual board of clicking and dragging in your tags, which give them powers. And then from that moment on, you use that tag, it's imbued with the powers of like, there's these command buttons that appear and things will be sent to this place or that place based on where you drag those tags in. It's a very WYSIWYG schema setup so that you can get instant feedback visually like, okay, these things are doing these things and these other things are doing those things.
Okay. Now, just so we can see what's going on here, one of the things combined within the two systems is the way that these items filter out. So what we do want to do is we'll just add a few things here. So we'll add a space and we'll add one of those arrows. And that should kick out a few other things. And then we'll also add a equals and dash.
That was one of the like almost everything that you see in these templates was done with a purpose. Even those arrows and those weird signs and stuff, it was one of the reasons for that was to be able to filter things out easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few different rationales for it, but this was a very quick and easy way of just establishing a character that you were never going to really use. But also by putting that character in there, it also either gives you the right hierarchy of where things are supposed to be with the arrow directions as well, but also it's a bit of a more of a key visual indicator that you shouldn't be either messing around with it or this is something that you need to go into for settings. Most of the time, you shouldn't really need to deal with them, that they're designed by that way. You'll also notice that when you do look at this stuff, all of those tags are usually gray tags. They have no color associated to them. And that's by design. And it's something that me and Nick did kind of in parallel, but didn't really decide fully on it, but we kind of just did it together. So I think also some of Tana's actual templates do this as well. So maybe that's where it came from originally. Don't know. Anyway, so this drag and drop WYSIWYG scenario, as you were saying, if you do click into these, you will see very clearly what is and what is not still connected to the system. For example, I hadn't noticed this change log because we didn't link it up last time, but I don't know if it's needed here or not. We'll go into that afterwards. We went into a lot of this over the weekend, over the weekend and also over the Wednesday one as well. So
We're just gonna call Wednesday the weekend.
yeah, just make it easy for me. Thank
It's the
you very
third
much.
weekand day.
Thank you very much. It's like it's very much easy. Well, my weekend starts on a Friday, so not that that's relevant right now. Not the point. Okay, so moving swiftly on, we've got all the rooms that we had set up here in the schema. I'm going to close this window down on the right so we've got a bigger space. So this is all the sources, buckets, highlights. I'm just going to all bucket items and hidden bucket items. Okay, so we have a completely fresh system and that's feels very nice. So
By
what
the
did we
way, yeah, that flag said view updated for everyone. That's because both of us are in this workspace. It's a shared workspace. And like we talked about earlier, this is part of our experiment in doing this together and demonstrating how you can work as a multi-person team in shared workspaces. So I just wanted to point that out again.
Yeah, like I actually am thinking now, and I think rooms needs to go up here because these guys here are not part of the infrastructure and it's not part of the schema. These are things to do. The Vault, I actually have in my system, I've got the Vault library up here and I've just called it library. So for arguments of this sake, we're going to do that. Okay. If I don't know if anybody's noticed, but in the actual vaults, there are all these backgrounds that you can select for your own use cases. They're all based on Tana colors, so feel free to just kind of match them up to the super tags accordingly. But that's a little hidden thing that I haven't really spoken about, but it's there. They're not amazing. They are what they are. It's a little treasure. It's a little treat. Moving on to what we have to do next. I think most of the fields we covered in terms of like this stuff, but we'd have to go into a little bit of detail around what the storage destination's doing when we get to it and see if we can integrate that into my move system, because I think that's possible from what I understand from it. And I think the first thing we want to do is go to the today page and we'll go day for the exchange. We'll keep it yellow. Okay, in this instance, we've got these guys here. I don't know about you, but I don't really want the day page being used in that way as a. I don't want the day page being used as a source because that's kind of where I'm going to for the projects to do that. But I understand why people would want to do this, but I feel like I don't. For me, the today page was supposed to be this super clean space. It's the only page where it doesn't show references down here most of the time. So I wanted it to be this super clean area that you could just basically use, and it's a full-on smart pad in its own regard. So that's why I didn't want to have these extra things there. But maybe if you did want to do this, you could make it as a special thing to, on the today page, make it a meta field versus a thingy field. But I don't know how that would work in regards to different things. But
Yeah, real quickly for anyone who does not know how GigaBrain works, there's sources and highlights and buckets, and that's kind of the core like rinse and repeat flow of
mm,
like you take knowledge from source material and that knowledge is extracted in the form of highlights, just chunks of useful information and knowledge, which then is connected to buckets, whether it's projects or topics or whatever. And so that's that terminology there. That's what source means here. And the reason why you might want to use the source like I do, or use the day page as a source is so that there's a command that comes with sources where you can talk to Charlie, one of the agents that comes with the GigaBrain, and that helps you. Charlie is programmed to interrogate a source, and so if your day page has a bunch of to-dos or resources or other things, then you can interrogate your day, or you can use it on a week or month or whatever timeline, and just you could do it as a retro looking forward into the future. But that's why you might want to do that. One thing to note though is you can invoke any agent like by hand by using the command line if you wanted. So hypothetically you wouldn't even need to tag something as a source. Sometimes the commands don't show up until you've used them at least once in a workspace, unfortunately.
right, okay. And also this is brand new and etc. etc. Okay. So, oh, actually, it's not a new workspace, but still. Okay. We're doing a lot of changes to it, so also that might have an effect as well for the moment. So we've got library and rooms that both have a slightly similar logo. Deal with that at a later date. So, okay, what we've got now is we've got all the different systems going on. The first thing I want to do is I want to create a project because we want to set up the Giga stream. Well, what we're kind of calling Giga streams at the moment, but we'll go Giga X streams. And we'll set that up as a project within the Exchange workspace. We have missing company and we have review with this bucket. In this instance, we don't really want to associate it to a company. So we're going to do something else. I'm going to change company to assigned to. And let's go, okay. I'm going to go into project and I'm going to go to the view
I
focus.
just had an idea.
Stream ventures first, sorry. Okay, go on.
So we could do that. Uh, we could also, you can select more than one company, right? We could have strategic design and we could have Simon Creates. And we could use Describer to come up with really detailed company descriptions for each of those.
Okay. I do I have to pause 1 minute because I need to go and get
Mm.
uh okay, right. So we set up the assign to field instead of the company, and now you're actually turning around and throwing something else into the mix, which is instead of having just the assign to, we could have the company as well, have them both assigned to Simon Creates and Strategic Design, and have specific company profiles set up for each one using Describer. So I like the sound of this. So let's go to company. We'll set this guy up. By the way, I'm holding down Alt and Shift every time I do these like quick clicks into the fields and stuff. Just I know it's FYI, but like my muscle memory for keyboard shortcuts is like ingrained at this point that I don't even think about doing it. So I apologize if I go a bit quickly on this point, but yeah. So options, we want to, I think, if we go to streams, I could do one of two things here. So I could turn around and say that this company is, well, we'll just do it from the super tag, I think, because we were having a discussion earlier about what's product versus company. And one of the things we turned around and said was product actually can be a descendant of company as well, because like things like Figma or Adobe and things like that would be one the other or the other, but we'll come to things like that later when we go to clean up the system.
Yeah, I think especially for a workspace that we're using though, that is focused, it's just for us creating, we're building stuff, you know? I think that it makes more sense for to consider that perspective that the products are just things that we're building. It's our, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because in this instance, well, because technically they're not companies, I see what you're saying, and we've referenced them in your system as that, but they're technically still a material and not a physical thing, because I've got digital projects for that type of thing. So we'll we're kind of adjusting this because this is a product. So we're adjusting this project tag anyway to account for that. Giga and Giga, the Giga Brain is a product and Streams is a product, but this is a project that's building the product between the two of them. That's the relationship we've discussed between them. Is that right?
This is where,
The meta conversation comes in.
yeah, yeah, theory and philosophy of how you work and what things ought to be. I think that since we're doing a very short term, like collaborative workspace project, we're not going to be building out an entire like suite of products and ecosystem of all these different things. So, like if it were me, I would be distinguishing between products and projects. Like my projects, many of them would be the purpose would be to build a product,
Yep.
but the product itself would be something completely separate. What we're doing here is with this Giga streams, we're kind of blending those things together, which would not be my preferred way for like a true organization. But for a temporary organization like what we're doing here, I think that's actually better because you don't need to have that added layer of complexity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and also because it's assigned to two companies, this could be a very good use case for like, okay, in this instance, we could technically refer to it as it's got two assignees, but it's also got two divisions instead of companies. For example, like this could also translate to departments. It could translate to like you could have a project that involves design and UX and
Hmm.
accounts and thingy. Like you just incorporate the different division or different department into the project as and when needed. You might even get to the point later down the line that I just thought of where we could have one project with different views for different staff types. So, for example, if you are part of the finance department, you could click into the view on the project, same project node, but you would then have a completely different view which shows the finance, all the finance items related to it,
Hmm.
versus somebody who's just going in there as the designer who needs to see the design tasks versus somebody who's going in there as the account manager who just needs to see the last known contacts and communications. That could be an interesting. Okay, we'll talk about that later, but that's an interesting thought. So, closing down company. All I did here was I just set the value to ancestors so that it initializes if anything below it is assigned to that. And I think we could try and do the same with the. Okay, that's already assigned. Fine. Okay, so. Oh, okay, they've definitely done something there because that's now a lot smoother. That's a lot smoother than it has been, I think. Well, it's not moving, so I don't know actually. So, never mind. Okay, moving further forward. We've combined all of that together. We've created the project. We've got the missing company scenario here, but this is actually because I switched it technically. So I want to just go into the view for this guy and the view for focus. Close him down. Let's go down to commands. My bad. My bad. I was in the right place before. So stream ventures, and we come down to commands. Okay, it's in project. Okay, okay, okay.
By the way, for the viewers, uh, if you probably noticed, he's clicking on a lot of those gray tag extensions. And that is like what's doing 80 to 90% of the lift of assigning these different functions and capabilities to all these different tags. It's being done by extending tags under the hood whenever you click and drag one of your tags into one of those spaces.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that Simon was even having a little trouble remembering which one of those had the thing that he was looking for, that underscores the fact that, if unless you really know what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend diving into those gray colored tags because there's a lot of depth there.
Yeah, like there's a reason why this one is assigned to a colored tag and not the level above it, and it's because of the I wanted it to be easy to be found if it needed to be, adjusted or anything like that. But for things like this, some people work with companies, some people work with assignee. So I don't think it depends on where you feel that command is best suited. So in this instance, I only wanted it to be applied to projects and not applied to the entire stream. There might be other things in here that I don't have a project, I don't have a company assigned to, and that was giving the flexibility there. So yeah, there's usually at least one reason why a command is placed at the level it's placed at, and there's also a reason why some of these items are organized the way they are as well. For example, stream ventures and the view for focus, the view is applied after, because all of this content you want it to be showing above the fields. And that really just boils down to, if you change the view here, we end up with the fields up top and all of this below. If I swap that and add the stream back, but I'll add it to afterwards, then you end up with the fields all at the bottom. So there's a reason for the hierarchy. Okay, so we have set up this project. We've got the linked highlights in this instance from before. In this case, I kind of want to go back to the view and, well, actually, this is not. That's assigned to it because it's on the stream and the type. No, it's not. Okay, let's go back a second. I'm trying to get to linked highlights because that's where the related content is, where I can change the name here. Because if I change the name here, it's not going to do anything because it's not going to be linked to the original source. So I want to go to, it's regular bucket, isn't it? I want to go to regular bucket and I want to go in here because that's where this extension is, and I can change the name for that to highlights. Cool. So if I delete him, we have highlights there now. Okay. Now,
A quick thing that probably went over a lot of people's heads there,
yeah.
real quick, is so you were unable to delete it in one place, and then in another place, when you deleted it, refreshed basically. If you delete it here, it would actually delete it, and that's because like it depends on where that thing lived. It lives inside this tag. This tag, though, is applied to other tags. So anytime you delete it in those tags that one tag is applied to, you can't delete it there because that's not where it lives. That's not where it originates from. That extension gives the capability. It does not give the exact thing. And so it actually provides a safety net then. In case someone accidentally hits delete or something, they can't delete that.
So in essence to that, I can select all of these items because these are all extensions, and I can delete all day long. It won't go anywhere. I can now update the title here, and it will can't spell, and it will go across everywhere else. The only time it
Yep.
won't like update is if I've selected this and then I try to do things. If it's got results in it, it won't respond like this if it has results in it. If it's got
Because
no,
it's been instantiated and it's frozen in place then.
yeah, by that point it's frozen in place. But any other instance, it literally will reset to the same as the master. And if it's got content in there, great. What we probably should have done through this entire thing is record this.
We're recording. Oh, you mean like, I see. Record it into Tana.
Yeah. So for
Yeah.
the final, like, I guess to finalize the demo for the last like 15, 20 minutes of what we've got to go through now, we'll set this up. So we can actually turn around and go back to Nick's GigaBrain and we can check what our sources are. And we have a mobile voice. So in this instance, that's set up with a transcribe button, correct? Or not?
No, it automatically transcribes whenever you record a voice note from mobile.
So we want to do this. I'm going to do a very hack shift way of doing this, but I think for now, I think it will be perfectly fine to demonstrate. So meeting, we're going to go into meeting and check on the stream professional. Okay. Well, we'll start a meeting. I'll configure this tag. And what I'm going to do is go down to commands and I'm going to just go enable audio, text processing, and we're going to go to what's the thing for where to place the transcript? I want to place the transcript in source material. I can't remember what the actual command
What?
is.
Why are you trying to do something like it automatically like play does those things. So I'm not sure what.
So I can leave that as it is.
Yeah, yeah, I would like uncheck all of
That's what
the things that you.
that's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. That's what I was looking for. Transcript gets placed in the source material and include audio system. Okay, so we've got that going on. We're going to create meeting with Nick and Simon. We'll set that up as a meeting. Why is that? Move to demo content. Okay, so this is because I've deleted that demo content library originally. So what we're going to have to do just very quickly is go through to Stream Professional, check the vault, and update. And that's fine. So now meeting should be updated as well. We'll pull him back. Just double check the vault set. Okay, great. Save. And I'm going to hit record just so that we can get something rolling with it. And I'm going to close these guys down because I think we're done talking about all of this for the moment. By the way, I have a quick close for the tabs. I've created a shortcut which basically does the close for tabs. So I just do Command Shift W, and that's my shortcut to close panels down. All it's doing is running the command close this panel. Okay, you just have to make sure your cursor's on the right place. So, meeting with Nick today. We'll give it a time. It's been between 7. Started at 7 o'clock. We'll put it there for the moment. We have a link bucket associated to it because if you remember when we set everything up, we fused all of that together. I'm going to click on missing assignee and I'm going to go Simon and we're going to go Nick. Okay, so we've assigned that to the two Tana users that are assigned to the system. And I'm not going to add due date or anything like that, but we do need to add two companies here. So we've got Simon Creates. Oh, actually, have I not? Oh, no, I deleted the thingy. So we've got Simon Creates, like as a company. I'm just going to pull that demo content. No, I don't even need to pull it out. It's because I didn't. Okay. For the record, we're only having this issue because I deleted the demo content vault library and I haven't gone through and reset things up. So I'm doing it in a bit of a bashful way, but I think for everyone who's seen the content up to this point already, I think they'll be fine. Other people might get a little confused. Let me know if you've got a problem. Moving further forward, I'm going to close this view back down again because we've assigned. Oh no, sorry, my bad, my bad, my bad. Strategic. Uh, Design or labs?
Design.
So now it's all perfectly linked up. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've got the origin of everything related to this. We've got the companies associated. We've got the two assignees related to this as well. We've got the link bucket, which has got the Giga streams, and the only reason why the origin's associated to it at the same time is because we created it within this smart pad. So I think we're good there. For the time being, I'm going to save that for everybody. I'm going to whack that into the abyss because it's transcribing over here and also assigned to the calendar here. God, I love it when everything just starts working. Okay, so next thing that we really had to do was in terms of like establishing the project. Do we want to establish any? How do we want to go about this last little bit now in terms of like finalizing what? I guess we could just go through and finalize what we actually intend to do going forward in this series a little bit, but also at least next episode of this series. One of the key things that I wanted to do was keen to do was what you said before with that describer and setting up the organizations for the two of those. And we also need to go through and properly set up GigaBrain as well because we haven't got all the
Yeah, because we just did a basic example.
mm,
Oh,
yeah,
we didn't even, did we provide guidance for any of our highlights
no.
or wow, okay.
We literally just connected the whole thing up and went, this is what happens when you do this and mashed it together. And
Hmm.
that's no problem, it works, but we've gone the extra mile today and just really combined the systems together so that we are really singing from one true schema. And I think I like the way this looks right now. Um, I'm gonna delete these out just for the time being. We don't need them there. Okay. One thing I'm quite keen to do is probably set up GigaBrain, because focus is basically set. So I think that would be really relevant to get the system working because we want to use GigaBrain in this system differently to how we're using it in our own personal systems because this is a shared workspace. So we kind of want to be
And
aligned.
we have a very particular focus too.
Yeah, and the other factor,
The about me will be interesting for this instance.
well, this is the question. Does it require us both having our own individual gigabrains or are both having our own individual about me's? Do we require our own individual agents because it's that personalized?
No, the whole point is really to have a focus for the GigaBrain. And so the focus of this GigaBrain is really essentially this project and anything that supports this project because that's why this workspace is
Yeah.
in existence. So yeah, our about me will fill it out and it'll be well, like Dee will guide us basically. She knows the questions that need to be answered and she'll guide us on that journey and we'll just kind of we'll answer whatever questions she throws at us and that will determine what the about me will be, really.
Okay, so let's go. And we can also like have the conversation with her with the bearing in mind that we can set it as this is going to be a shared workspace between this and this, and let's see what she
Hmm.
fires back at. Okay, let's okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the project. Well, not necessarily. I kind of want to go into in my mind, I kind of want to go into I've just ended up right back where I started. We want to go into the project level so that we can talk to. No, we want to go into guidance. Yeah, the guidance library.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Well, we need to set up all the guidance for all the different tags that we want to start using and speak to
That's
D.
what we're doing?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I feel like we want to set up GigaBrain and then that can finalize, like most of that could basically finalize this um, last 15 minutes of what we're doing here. And then we can expand on that a little bit further next time if we need to, because it's good to sleep on these things. And then we can go from there. But I think let's start that process off. So you tell me where to go from there. I think it's within the
If we're filling out guidance for the tags, then we would want to go to the brain schema or here. Yeah.
so because we set the guidance garage up in the last one, these all end up in the guidance vault with that we set up.
The thing is, one reason to go to the brain schema instead would be because
Ah,
the source tags, their guidance is inside the tags themselves. There's no separate guidance document for
I'm
those.
with you. So let's start here. So let's use the one we're going to use right now. Let's start off with that. We are using the meeting tag as a source. So you don't have the thingy there now, so let's do it this way. I've just gone into schema, so I'll get all my tags up. I want to go down to meeting, and I want to put that into a manually triggered source. Okay, because then we can use this at the end. That's now provide the AI guidance. So we're going to right click and go into this guy. And we want to take care of this. Okay. Now, depending on how you choose to work with this, but we can reorder this around to have them right at the top if we want. Because once you fill them out the first time, they're never going to be used again. Depends on how you choose to have this. But in this instance, we can go and re-add that to professional. And then these guys go up here above the vault. And that way it's just pulled across afterwards. But anyway, click on Call D. Let's begin this little process off. How can you help me? Let's
Yeah, so really the whole point of so first of all, for anyone watching, you can just say, give me content right away, and she understands the context of this tag. But if you know what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be using this tag, like, how are we going to be using this tag, Mr. Dogman?
I got attacked.
That's the end of part 1. Part 2 is coming soon, and hope you enjoyed it. While I have you here, since you watched through, you obviously like what you saw. Like the video, please. Leave a comment if you have any questions, if you want to know any details about anything that we did. And then, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Cheers.